Hello YouTube, my name is Nero. Today we have some more Call of Duty World War II. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are now officially 1 month into the World War II life cycle, and what an incredible journey it has been so far. It's been incredibly bumpy, don't get me wrong, but it's been interesting the entire way through, and I wanted to discuss that here in today's video. I want to basically review Call of Duty World War II itself, talk about the launch window, talk about some of the patches and the updates, talk about what's going on right now, and what's going to be happening in the very near future. And if that sounds interesting to you guys, sit back, relax, and enjoy, because I think it's going to be a fun video. Let's start things off here with the launch. The launch of this game was a completely unmitigated disaster. So, of course, this was the first game to return to boots on the ground in 4 years, and it's also the first game to return to the World War II setting in 9 years, right? So it was kind of to be expected that a lot of people would buy the game this year, but they were not prepared whatsoever. World War II doubled the sales of Infinite Warfare right out the gate, and because of that, so many people were trying to get in at once that Activision's servers completely died on us, right? They had to turn off dedicated servers. We were running on like pure peer-to-peer there for a while. The online functionality of the headquarters was completely turned off, but even with all of this, millions of people still could not actually play. This was by far the worst launch of a Call of Duty game ever, and I've been through some bad ones. Like back in the day, you know, Modern Warfare 2 or the original Black Ops or Modern Warfare 3, back when COD was in its heyday in terms of sales figures, even those launches were not as bad as this year. Those launches were terrible, like everyone's on one bar constantly, nobody can actually get into the game. Like those launches were bad. This year was even worse. If you tried to play in a party, they barely worked, right? If you were not the host of the party, in between matches, you would just have like this infinite loading screen where you couldn't actually do anything. Challenges themselves were completely bugged at launch. Like you could not complete a lot of them, which is really odd to me. Pre-order bonuses like double experience and the permanent unlock token, they could not be received by a lot of players. I think to this day, there are still people out there who did pre-order who are yet to actually get their pre-order bonuses. Some people couldn't even get past the initial part of the game where you select your first division. I know this for a fact because last night my cousin, the guy that got me into Call of Duty in the first place, he finally picked up World War II and he had that bug. He could not get past the initial thing where you actually select your division. Like, for crying out loud, we're a month into the game's life cycle. If I'm being entirely honest, a lot of this game so far has kind of felt like a beta. And I know that's kind of like a meme at this point. People say the game's still in beta, but really though, at a lot of points so far, this game has felt like it's still in beta, but with a lot of features unlocked as compared to the actual beta that they held several months ago. I have to wonder, what's going on with that Call of Duty 3-year development cycle, right? Because back in the day, Infinity Ward and Treyarch basically had 2 years to get their new game made, finished, and out the door. Ever since Activision brought on Sledgehammer, it was actually during the Call of Duty Ghost lifecycle they announced that because Advanced Warfare came afterwards. Ever since then, every team has had an extra year to finish their game, and you would think that the final 6 months of this added time would be spent bug fixing and doing quality assurance, but it appears anyway that the first few months of the game actually being out are when they're actually going to be doing their bug fixing and their QA instead. I get that they make the game more polished. Like, games these days are much better than they were back in the day in terms of content and quality and polish and stuff like that. But, I mean, we're talking about a game that has less maps by default than most other CODs, less guns by default than most other CODs, and they've had more time to actually put it together. I'm wondering, like, where is all of this development time actually going? That may seem a little bit harsh, but really, though, every time they add a new feature to this game, it's bugged in one way or another, including ranking up. I mean, when the game first came out, they accidentally had double XP activated without actually realizing it, apparently, at least so they say. And then when they gave us a double XP weekend, it was actually triple XP. Then they gave us 1 times XP. It's like, what is going on over there at Sledgehammer? Like, it has to be a complete disaster over there at their studio because it seems like everything they do just doesn't work properly. And a good example of that, and I hope I'm not being too harsh here, but the ranked mode, I mean, they just put that out a couple of days ago, and it was bugged right from the very beginning. I talked about it at length during my ranked video, but yeah, you do your placement games, you get a rank, you get put in a tier, and even once you are in your own tier, you're still going to face people who are still doing their placement games, which kind of defeats the entire purpose of the ranked playlist. Your leaderboards are not tracked properly. Sometimes you get wins and it just doesn't really matter whatsoever. Sometimes you win the game and it actually counts as a loss. Sometimes your combat record is completely ruined and they add a bunch of stats to it for really no reason. I don't know how all these bugs are actually getting through. Again, I feel like I'm being super critical right now, but I kind of have to be. Every time they add something to the game, it is bugged in one way or another. You would think that the majority of these things would be worked out before the game even releases. Is that not the point of a 3-year development cycle? I think they are using that extra development time to try to add more features to the game. You know, make sure the outsides of the map are more pretty, maybe add some more game modes, add some more functionality and stuff like that. But when you look at Call of Duty World War II, we have a game that has a record low amount of maps, a very small amount of weapons at launch compared to other Call of Duty games. It's like, where did all of this development time actually go? The campaign was great. Zombies is fantastic. The multiplayer by and large is really good, but there's not a ton there compared to previous Call of Duty games. It's like, where did all this extra development time go? There's actually a rumor going around that perhaps they were working on an Advanced Warfare 2, but they decided partway through development to switch over to making a boots on the ground World War II game, and that kind of explains why we were having a lot of these issues. I have no idea what happens. I don't think we're ever actually going to know the truth, but I do know that right now the game has had a lot of bugs, but to Sledgehammer's credit, they are working day and night to fix all of them, and they have been incredibly open and honest with us about it the entire way through. As each day goes by, more issues get resolved, and the game's actually running pretty good right now, at least in my experience. I know some people have different experiences than myself, but so far, the game feels pretty good, especially where it is right now. The game feels fantastic. I don't really lag whatsoever. In my opinion, the hit detection is actually pretty good. I'm enjoying the game. I think it's actually pretty good right now, and when the game is running well, I think that the general consensus amongst the community is that this game's great. They like Call of Duty World War II, and I definitely have to agree with them. I've been having so much fun playing this game, even with all of its issues. I talked about this in a previous video, but even with all of its issues, this is still the best Call of Duty game to release in a very long time. And you may think, once again, you know, the past couple of games sucked, and maybe to you they did, but Call of Duty is still selling pretty well regardless every single year. So to me, even though, you know, this is the first boots on the ground game in a while, it's still the best COD in a while. I would say it's the best Call of Duty game since the original Black Ops and Black Ops 2. I personally think, I know some people are going to hate this, but it's all just opinion. I'd love to hear what you guys think down there in the comments. I like this game more than Ghosts. I like it more than Modern Warfare 3. I like it better than any of the jetpack games. It might even be better than Modern Warfare 2, which I know sounds crazy, but hear me out on this. Modern Warfare 2 is a great game that has so many issues that can actually make it game-breaking. Like, if you go back to play Modern Warfare 2 right now, it's really hard to enjoy because of people noob tubing and stuff like that, right? We don't have anything game-breaking like that here in Call of Duty World War 2, so maybe it's not better than Modern Warfare 2, but it's up there. It's a really good Call of Duty game, in my opinion. I have played it every day, without exception, for several hours each day. I love every aspect of this game's multiplayer. I beat the entire campaign. I posted a Let's Play over on my second channel, and that was incredible the entire way through. I haven't played a ton of zombies. I'll be entirely honest about that. Zombies looks fantastic, but I'm enjoying the multiplayer and doing the campaign so much that I really haven't had a ton of time to go and play zombies. I actually plan, I think, to do Let's Plays of it and do like maybe a live stream or something like that, where subscribers kind of hold my hand through the entire experience. But zombies, by and large, gauging community feedback, it has actually been good. Minus, once again, all of its bugs, issues, and problems, but the core gameplay itself is pretty freaking fantastic. And when I play the multiplayer, let me know if you guys agree with this. To me, it kind of feels like a World War II themed Black Ops, but with an upgraded engine and better graphics, at least when it comes to the gunplay. So full disclosure, my favorite COD game of all time was the original Black Ops. I love that game to death, but the thing about it is, it had really weird hit detection. Like, you had to lead your shots, and sometimes your shots just wouldn't hit. It was really odd, even at launch. Like, it never really worked properly. We have a similar system here in World War II. You have a very slow time to kill like we had back in the original Black Ops, but we have better hit detection. I get that the hit detection is not exactly perfect so far, but it's better than it was back then. So to me, it feels a little bit like the original Black Ops in terms of gunplay, and I think that's one of the reasons why I like the game so much. The more I play the maps, the more my opinion changes about them. So Point to Hawk, I've gone on record as to saying is one of the worst maps in Call of Duty history, and I still think to this day it's a fundamentally bad map in terms of design and in terms of being a competitive multiplayer map, but I've adapted to it, and as a result of that, I actually have fun when I play Point to Hawk. So I run around with incendiary shotguns because I think that's what the map's actually designed for. It's designed for you to run around in circles and blow people away with shotguns, and that's what I do, and as a result, I have a lot of fun when I play on the map. It's not a competitive map by any stretch of the imagination. There's a reason why it doesn't show up in ranked play whatsoever, but it's a fun map to play on now and again. Other maps, though, like USS Texas, I'm starting to like less and less. When the game first came out, it was one of my favorites. I thought it was a really cool idea. I love, being on a boat out there in the ocean. I love looking out there and seeing the fact that we're actually moving through the water. That's really cool, and the map's layout is actually pretty good to me, but the community has decided that when they play this map, 2, 3, maybe even more people on any given team are going to sit in the far back on top of a tower and just not move whatsoever, and because of that, I find myself not enjoying the map really whatsoever. I'm voting against it every time it pops up in the rotation because I know that's how people are going to play, which again is a shame because I like the map's layout. I like how it plays when people are actually moving. I like the flow to it, but the way the community is playing it is kind of ruining it. Same thing goes for Gustav Cannon. I like Gustav Cannon. I know that's a very unpopular opinion, but I'm an old school COD player, right? I mean, back in, COD 4 and Modern Warfare 2 and the original Black Ops, maps were big, especially World at War. Maps were big and had very open lines of sight, which is good. But the community has been conditioned so much over the past couple of years that whenever they see a relatively open map, they have to sit in the back with a sniper rifle. That's like what they feel like they have to do. They feel like it's impossible to move around with a rifle or even a submachine gun. I posted gameplay here on my channel where I'm rushing with a WAF 28 on Gustav Cannon and doing just fine because it's possible to do that, but the community has decided that because the map is open, they have to sit in the back of the map, and as a result, it's like the most hated map in Call of Duty history, at least one of them, based off community perception. So, I don't know, man. The maps themselves, my opinion changes, of course, as each day and week goes by, but so far, the maps themselves are growing on me. I have fun playing on them, but I definitely still hold the opinion that we could use more maps and ones with longer lines of sight. Now, we don't have to go full on Gustav Cannon with it, but we don't have to go full point to Hawk either. There needs to be a nice middle ground. Next time you hop on and play, I want you to pay attention to every map besides, once again, Gustav Cannon. When you're playing and running around, pay attention to the layout of the map. You are going to realize that every 5 to 10 feet, there is a bit of cover. There cannot be just like an open stretch of 20 feet or so where there's not a bit of cover, because for some reason they've decided that there needs to be cover pretty much everywhere in this game. So I would like to see them actually open the maps up a little bit. And we already know for a fact that Modern Warfare 3's Resistance is going to be returning as one of the DLC maps in January. So I'm excited to see what the DLC maps are going to be like and how the design philosophy may change between the standard maps and the DLC maps that we're going to be getting in the future. Now, speaking of DLC, we have had tons of leaks, of course, since the launch of the game. It seems like with every update, which there have been a lot of updates, we get more information about what may be coming later on down the line. So we have over 10 new weapons that have been leaked to us. We've seen gameplay of a lot of them. We have over 5 new game modes. We have a winter event, which is actually confirmed. The other things are leaks and Sledgehammer are very tight-lipped about, but the winter event, that's actually happening. It's going to be called Winter Siege. It's going to be beginning next Friday on December 8th. I think we're all pretty excited about that. It's been kind of encouraging for me personally to learn about all this extra content that they have planned for the game, even while they're still currently working to make sure the game's actually running smoothly and as bug-free as possible, right? They keep adding updates to the game, which have been helping it out. Every time an update comes through, it actually does help the game, whether it's a balancing update or a bug fix update or an update where they're banning cheaters and unjustly banning people who aren't cheating, which we talked about previously. They're updating the game quite a bit, and that's fantastic, but it's very encouraging for me to see that even while they're doing all of that, they are still planning more content later on down the line, because more content is what's going to actually help this game out. Because right now, I worry that there isn't enough content. We're going to need more, otherwise the game is going to stagnate, and when that happens, that's when people start leaving the game, and that's not something they want to see. But my big concern here is people are going to leave the game regardless if they decide to lock weapons in supply drops. As I said previously, millions of fans have returned to Call of Duty this year. A lot of people left at one point or another. I mean, it's bound to happen, right? COD's been out for so long. It's been out for over a decade. Most people have played COD. Most people fell in love with it, and then most people eventually quit at one point or another. Well, this year, a lot of those people that quit came back because they're doing a bit of a return to form, a return to roots here for the Call of Duty franchise, and I would hate to see those players turned away because of supply drop weapons. I think if they add weapons to the game in a consumer-friendly and fun way, that could actually bring even more fans back and keep other people from actually leaving. But if Activision falls into their old habits, they may scare off a lot of the fans that they worked so hard to win back. So I would really like to see them adding new guns to the game, like the Gewehr 43, the Mosin Nagant, the Arasaka, the Browning, lots of guns, right? But I want them to be added to the game in a consumer-friendly way, whether that's through challenges or through seasonal events or giveaways or what have you. Anything is better than what we saw back in Black Ops 3, where it was literally a slot machine. It did not matter how much you played or how much you spent. You could spend $1,000 and not get a DLC weapon. It was really that bad. I don't think anybody wants to see that. We want new weapons. We really do. The game is going to feel stagnant if we don't get more guns soon, but we don't want them added to supply drops either, so we're going to have to see how it plays out. I am worried that Activision Activision could potentially ruin this game if they fall back into their old habits of really getting greedy with their microtransactions and business practices. But of course, with all things happening in the news right now, maybe this year it'll actually be different. We're going to have to see. But ladies and gentlemen, we are now 1 month into the Call of Duty World War II life cycle. It has been an incredible journey, from the terrible launch to all of the updates to even more buggy things being added to leaked weapons and leaked game modes to a Winter Siege event. The game has been a roller coaster, and it's been very interesting the entire way through. And if we look past all of that, look past every little tiny thing, all the politics behind it, all the updates, things like that, and just think about the core game itself, is that fun for you? Because for me personally, I really enjoyed the World War II multiplayer. The campaign, in my opinion, was one of, if not the best campaign in COD history, and I'm excited to start playing zombies. Again, I'm probably going to play with subscribers, maybe live stream it or something like that, but I'm excited to get into zombies as well. But right now, I feel like I just want to keep spending time in the multiplayer. Even though we don't have that many weapons, even though we don't have that many maps or that many game modes or what have you, I'm finding the multiplayer still to be fun. I have over 3 days played right now already, and it's like I'm having so much fun with this game as compared to previous Call of Duty games that it really is a big return to form for me personally for the Call of Duty series, and I'm happy to see that's true for a lot of other people. So down there in the comments, let me know, how are you enjoying Call of Duty World War II so far? Are you enjoying it? Is it a lot of fun for you? Have you quit the game already? Is it not your cup of tea? What do you hope to see in the future? I'd love to hear about all that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for making this past November the best month ever here on NerosCinema. I don't talk about that stuff a lot here on the channel, but in terms of views, new subscribers, so on and so forth, like, this was the best month I have ever had, and it's awesome to see so many people happy and passionate about playing Call of Duty again, right? We talked about this so many times in the past, but I've wanted for so long the entire community to back one game again. Over the past couple of years, it's felt fragmented, right? During Infinite Warfare, we had people playing IW and Modern Warfare Remastered and Black Ops 3. Back during Black Ops 3, people were leaving that game to go back and play Black Ops 2 or play Ghost or Modern Warfare 3. Like, people have been jumping around game to game to game. Right now, anyway, and it could change in the future, pretty much everybody is backing World War II, and they're talking about World War II, and we all kind of feel like we're part of a community again. And I have to wonder, with the success of the game so far, in terms of sales and people playing and people actually enjoying the game, are we ever going to see another jetpack game? That's definitely a pretty interesting discussion. And of course, I'd love to hear what you guys think about that down there in the comment section below. But ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have for you guys here today. Thank you all so much for listening. I hope you all enjoyed. Drop me a rating. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.